Hey everyone, how's it going? My name's Cloud, and welcome to my personal VOD reviews of Locals. In this episode, we'll be taking a look at Game 1 of Week 8 for the OP11 Meta, where I played Purple Yellow Robin versus Red Black Koby. Here's the deck list that I played in this match, and if you haven't already done so, please go check out the Locals retro video I made that covers this deck list and my overall thoughts on how Locals went this week. Without further ado, let's hop into the game. Game number 1 for week 8 of the OP11 meta, I'm playing Purple Yellow Robin versus Red Black Koby. This game should be an interesting and fun one to review since this is not a matchup that we get to see very often. Not to mention, I don't have enough games on Purple Yellow Robin yet to know whether or not I have the advantage or disadvantage playing against a Red Black Koby. And this just makes this matchup all the more exciting because it means that I get to try to learn the matchup. And in scenarios like this, where I'm uncertain about how this game is going to go, I think it's just really important to double down on what my game plan is going to be. So with Nico Robin and my deck list in particular for this week, I'm trying to put a lot of power behind my leader's ability. So if you're not familiar with Nico Robin, I'm going to go ahead and pause and put it up on screen. Nico Robin is a purple-yellow 4-life 5k power strike leader with the Straw Hat Crew typing. And her ability reads Banish, and when attacking, you may trash one card with a trigger from your hand, add up to one Dawn card from your Dawn deck, and rest it. And so the first part of her ability is Banish. That's right, Robin has Banish built in on top of her leader. And so that means every time I swing at my opponent's life, they're at risk of sending that life straight to the trash if they choose not to counter. So knowing that, and trying to put power behind this Banish swing, I'm going for a starve tactic with Nico Robin. By putting power behind Banish and trying to attack at my opponent's life, they're either going to be losing resources from life since it goes straight to trash, or they're going to have to give up a lot of cards from their hand in order to counter. Either way, they're going to be going down on resources, so that's what I'm going to be trying to do with my leader. But on the other hand, my leader does require me to trash one card with a trigger from my hand in order to ramp. And so while I'm trying to do Banish swings at my opponent, I'm going to be trying to play a lot of cards that lets me draw more cards in order to gain resources myself. So while I'm trying to get my opponent to go down on resources, I'm trying to go up on resources. And hopefully by the end of the game, I'll have just more resources to outvalue my opponent. That's my game plan, and while we're at it, let's take a guess at what Koby's game plan is. So, because I haven't seen this leader often, I'm going to go ahead and just put it up on screen as well. Koby is a red-black 4-life 5k power strike leader with the navy and sword typing. His ability reads, your sword type characters can attack characters on the turn in which they are played, and once per turn, if your navy type character with 7k base power or less would be removed from the field by your opponent's effect, you may place 3 cards from your trash at the bottom of your deck in any order instead. And so the first thing I have to watch out for in this matchup is it seems like Koby is going to be going for a board control style game plan based off the leader ability. The first part says that his sword type characters gain pseudo rush, which just means that anytime he plays a sword type character, they can attack at my characters the turn they are played. And so that means I have to be cautious about what characters I'm resting because that means they are open for these kind of attacks. So the more he has on board, the more cards I have rested, that means he can just kill off my characters on board, or I have to just waste resources to try to protect them. Not to mention, the second part of his leader ability gives any of his navy type characters with 7k base power or less protection, which means that anytime I'm trying to maybe KO one of my opponent's cards with an effect, then they get to protect it and I just wasted a resource. So I have to be cautious about when I am using any kind of removal effect. Those are the game plans, so let's see how this matchup's going to go, knowing those game plans. I will say though that based off of that, I think both of our game plans kind of circumvent each other. While I'm trying to put power behind my leader and just go for leader swings, I'm not going to be putting enough characters down on board for my opponent to gain much value off of the characters they are trying to play. So hopefully that means I have a slight advantage. Going into the dice roll, high roll as usual, my opponent is going to roll an 8. I'm gonna roll a 11, so I get to pick turn order. And I am choosing to go first here. That's a pretty good choice. So something, sorry, I'm gonna pause it real quick. Something I'm trying to still learn with Purple Yellow Robin is turn order. With the way I'm playing my deck, I think going first or second both have their own merits. Going first is really nice because that means I get to attack first, which means I get to start applying the banish early. But also, it means that I get to ramp first, right? Every time I attack is when I get to ramp. Unlike some of the other purple leaders who can just ramp on, any time, my leader ability is dependent on attacking. So by going first, that means I get to just start ramping first. On the other hand, going second is nice because it means I just have more Dawns to work with, and I think it just fits the ramp of my deck a little better. So by going second, I'm going to start with 2 Dawn, go up to 4 Dawn, and at this point I can just go for a 9k banish swing, which is very powerful. Or I can play out a 3 cost and still have 1 Dawn to go for at least a 6k banish. But here is where the ramping kind of works in my favor. I go into 5 Dawn once I ramp, and then when it's back to my turn, I'm gonna go up to 7 Dawn, ramp again. I'm at 8. And then I'll naturally get to 10 Dawn by my 4th turn. Whereas if I do this calculation again by going first, I'll go 1 Dawn, then 3 Dawn, ramp to 4, then go to 6 Dawn, ramp to 7, and then I'll be at 9 Dawn. And at this point, you can see that I won't get to 10 Dawn until pretty much my 5th turn, because I can ramp here at 9 to go to 10 if I wanted to. But the Dawn I ramp with comes in rested, which means I can't really use it. So it's by my 5th turn is when I get to my 10 Dawn, and if I'm trying to just turbo ramp to that number, then going second feels a little bit better. Going first means I have to play another ramp card in order to get there on my turn 4. But in this case, we're choosing to go first. I think it's because I think Koby is going to be playing a little bit passive here, so I want to just try to be the aggressor and use my banish aggressively. Let's take a look at our cards in hand. We're starting off with a 6 cost Nico Robin, 0 cost You're the One Who Should Disappear, 2 Jaguar D Sauls, and a 3 cost Uso Hachi. Let's do our counter check. We've got a 1k, a 3k, and a 2k. Not bad. In total, we have 6k counter in hand, and we've got a good variety, so I'm feeling pretty safe here. Looking at the cards themselves, the first card that I'm really happy to see is the Jaguar D Saul. This is a very important card in the deck because it's one of the ways that I get to draw 2 cards. So let's take a look at Saul real quick. I'm pretty sure I already have it up on screen, but if I do not, then I'll put it there. Saul is a purple 6 cost 6k power strike character with no counter, and has the Giant /Ohara former Navy typing. His ability reads, on play, if your leader is Nico Robin and you have 7 or more Dawn cards on your field, draw 2 cards. And then it also has a trigger that says activate this card's on play effect. And so with this card in the deck, I gain a lot of resources. And so I'm really trying to get to the 7 Dawn threshold in order to gain the benefits of this effect. So by going first or going second, I will get to 7 Dawn by my 3rd turn. And so I'm really glad to see that because it means that I can draw 2 cards, refilling my hand since I know I will be trashing cards off of my leader ability. Besides that, I am also happy to see the 6 cost Nico Robin. This card is really powerful in combination with my leader ability because if I'm able to get 1 attack in before my 6 Dawn turn, they're going to go from, since Koby's a 4 life leader, down to 3, plus that card goes straight to the trash, and then on my 6 Dawn turn, or 7 Dawn turn, I can play this Nico Robin, force them to go down to 2 life, and then go in for another banish swing. Either way, that's 3 cards from their life that goes straight to the trash, and so they run out of resources. Besides that, the rest of the cards in my hand are not bad. Let's see if I decide to keep this. And we're choosing to mulligan. Alright, so there's a really particular reason why I'm mulliganing here, and that's because the way I'm playing this deck this time around is with 3-cost blockers. And so I didn't see any 3-cost blockers in my hand, which makes me want to mulligan, because having those blockers on field means that I can use them to, block attacks and save some cards in my hand. Like I mentioned before, Nico Robin does go down on cards in hand because of her ability. So having blocker means that I do not have to use my counter in hand to get out of some attacks. So that's why I'm mulliganing here, just trying to find those blockers. Looks like my opponent also decided to mulligan. And let's see what we're gonna get for our final opening hand. A little shuffling here. Looks like we're just gonna go for the fist bump to start the game. Okay, I think that's a good point. In our final opening hand, we have 2 4-cost Frankies, a 3-cost Robin, 8-cost Don Quixote do Flamingo, and a 6-cost Saul. Let's do our counter check. We've got a 2k, 2k, 1k, and that's it. Unfortunately, we did go down on counter, but 5k counter is still pretty good, and I'm happy that we have some 2ks and 1ks, so not too bad there. Looking at the cards themselves, I am happy that I hit my 3-cost blocker. So Nico Robin is a very good blocker in this deck because, yes, it's a cheap blocker, which means I can just play it out and have some protection, keeping cards in my hand, and I don't have to waste the counter. But also, it lets me search the top 3 cards in my deck for a Straw Hat Crew type card, 1 KO'd. And I do have the Dawn -1 there, but this is a really nice card because I can find cards like the Frankie here, which is a 2k Straw Hat type card, or even a card like Gum Gum Giant. That's right, if you forgot, Nico Robin is a Straw Hat leader, which means I can play Gum Gum Giant, so being able to just search for it is very nice. And then looking at the other cards in my hand, I'm happy to also see we got the Saul again. So I mentioned this before, just being able to draw cards is really good. Besides that, rest of my cards are okay. But let's start the game. I'm going first, so I go 1 Dawn. Nothing to do on first turn, so I pass. My opponent draws for a turn and goes up to 2 Dawn. And they're going to start off by tapping 1 Dawn to play the 1-cost Ripper. Pass back to me, I draw for turn, it's the 3-cost Dedeshi. I go up to 3 Dawn for my Dawn phase. And we're going to start off with a 5k Banish swing at my opponent's life. And they try to block here, which they cannot. So Ripper is a very interesting card because it is a blocker, but it's a conditional blocker. Ripper is a black 1-cost 1k power wisdom character with the East Blue and Navy typing and has 1k counter, and says if you're black Navy type character, if you have a black Navy type character other than Ripper, this character gains blocker, which my opponent does not. So unfortunately, this Ripper is not a blocker at this time. They're gonna have to give up some cards from hand here. They choose to give up the Borsalino to 1k counter out of my hit. And then I'm choosing to use activate leader ability here. So I'm going to trash the Dedeshi, unfortunately, and then ramp 1 Dawn. With 3 Dawn left, I'm going to go ahead and tap it and play out the blocker. So I'm liking this play. I get to establish a blocker early. I only have 4 cards in hand, but now it means that if my opponent decides to swing big here, I can just use the blocker to get out of it. Pass back to my opponent, they draw for turn and go up to 4 Dawn, and they immediately go with a 5k swing to my life. Looks like I'm considering the trigger here, which was the 5-cost Monkey D. Luffy, which trigger says that I can KO 4 costs or less, and I'm choosing to trigger it to KO the Ripper. I'm doing this now because I know they're going to probably play out a Navy type card, which they did here in the 4-cost Kuzan. and that Ripper would have become a blocker, which I can't deal with at the moment, so I want to get rid of it so that I can get Banish Swings into my opponent's life. Pass back to me, I draw for turn. It was the 5-cost Nami, and go up to 6 Dawn here. I'm going to attach 1 Dawn to my leader and go for a 6k Banish Swing at my opponent's life, which they choose to take. And alright, I already caught one mistake. So I did not ramp with my leader this turn, and I think I just straight up forgot. That's really bad for me because I'm currently at 6 Dawn. If I had ramped, I would have gone to 7 Dawn, and I could have used those 6 Dawn to play out the Saw. So if I had done that, then I would have been able to draw 2 cards, which would have been really good for me since my opponent is already going down on hand size, while I would be gaining 2 cards. So it's a really bad missed opportunity there. We're gonna have to pivot, and I choose to tap 5 Dawn to play out the Nami. And yeah, this is when I was realizing that, oh no, I could have played the Saw, but now since I played the Nami, I have to trash 1 card from my hand here. Unfortunately, I'm giving up the 2k Frankie, which is pretty bad, and I attempt to KO this Kuzan. And at this point in the game, I forgot about Koby's ability. So there's a lot of moving parts here. I'm gonna pause. Let's first start off with the fact that I trashed the Frankie. Unfortunately, I wanted to keep the 6-cost Saw in my hand in order for me to have some draw power later on into the game. So I'm giving up that in order to keep the draw in my hand, but I go down on 2k. Next, I'm attempting to KO this Kuzan, and I forgot about Koby's leader ability. And so you can see here that he's returning 3 cards from his trash to the bottom of his deck in order to protect it, which means that I just pretty much wasted this KO ability. But on the bright side, with playing this Nami, I did get to draw 1 card since I had 3 or less cards in hand. But unfortunately, I think this was a really bad turn for me, just because, yeah, I could have drawn 2 cards instead. I could have kept the Nami in hand, and I just gave my opponent free value on keeping the Kuzan alive. So, a little unfortunate there, and it looks like I'm taking a read at this Kuzan. This Kuzan is actually pretty important, so I will put it up on screen right now, and let's just take a quick read before it goes over to my opponent's turn here. Kuzan is a black 4-cost 5k power special character with 1k counter and the Navy typing. His ability reads, on play, trash 3 cards from the top of your deck. When attacking, up to one of your Navy type leader or character cards can also attack active characters during this turn. And so I can see where I was going here by trying to KO this Kuzan. This card giving the ability to give his leader or other Navy characters the ability to attack active characters goes really well with Koby's pseudo rush ability. It means that all of these characters I have on my board are now vulnerable to attacks, so I was attempting to get rid of it so that they can't go for swings at these characters. You know, even though I'm not really focusing on characters, I would like to have more attacks, and it would really suck if they just target my blockers, which means I don't get the value of using it to block. So, yep, unfortunately they protect it, and I wasted the KO. Alright, moving on to my opponent, they draw for turn. They're gonna go up to, I believe it's 6 Dawn now? Yep, 6 Dawn. I'm going to start off by tapping 5 Dawn and play out the 5-cost Hibari. Sorry, I was trying to remember the name there. Hibari is a very powerful card, so I want to read this one for sure. Let's see here. Hibari is a red 5 cost 6k power range character with no counter and has the navy and sword typing. And her ability says on play, give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 2000 power during this turn, and when attacking, this character gains plus 1000 power during this turn. Then up to one of your navy type leader or character, just leaders, can also attack active characters during this turn. And so they play it out. They're giving minus 2000 power to my Nami here. They're gonna start off with a 5k swing, I'm guessing at my life. And I do believe he chose to give his Hibari the ability to attack active characters. I'm choosing to take it here. Interesting. Sorry, didn't mean to pause there. Oh, okay, yep. He's going 7k, because Hibari gains plus 1000 power at my Nami, and gives his leader the ability to attack active characters. Unfortunately, I just let the Nami go because that's 7 to 5 or 7 to 3, and I don't want to counter that. And finally, my opponent is just going to go 6k at me, which I counter out with a 2k. I guess that was fine. Earlier, I was a little weirded out by the fact that I didn't counter out of the 5k swing, but I think I only had 2ks in hand, so I was like, yeah, alright. Going back to me, I draw for turn. I go up to 8 Dawn, and here we go. We're going to start off by playing the Jaguar D Saw, and since I'm at 7 or more Dawn, I get to draw 2 cards. We get the 3 cost Saw and the 6 cost Nico Robin. I've got 2 Dawn left, and right now I'm actually feeling the effects of not ramping earlier. I would have been at 9 Dawn this turn if I had ramped the previous turn, which means I would have had 3 Dawn active, and I could have used that to play out the 3 cost Saw that we just drew, right? This was a, I'm feeling the effects now. I only have 2 Dawn to work with. I could have had another blocker, but since I don't have the Dawn, now I don't. And it looks like we're just going to attach 1 Dawn to our leader and go 6k at my opponent's life with Banish. And they're choosing to take it and let it go. Wow. Maybe this is a sign they don't have 2Ks in hand. It looks like they only have about 4 cards in hand, if I saw that correctly. So I should keep that in mind, that if he's taking 6k swings... Oh, he has 5 cards in hand. But if he's taking these 6k swings, then he might not have enough counter in hand. I pass back to my opponent. They're going to go up to... Or they're at 8 Dawn now? Yeah, 8 Dawn. They drew for turn. Yeah, since I was unfamiliar with Koby's deck list, I was asking a lot about what the effects are, hence why we're also reading a lot of cards this time around, so sorry if this video ends up just going a bit longer than normal. But they are at 8 Dawn, and they're going to start off with separating 4 from 4. Take 2 Dawn, attach it to Kuzan, and they're going to go 7k at my lead, giving Hibari the ability to attack active characters. 7k is a pretty high number here. I could choose the block, which would save cards in my hand. However, they have 6 Dawn left, so if I, don't count out of this, or I choose the block, then they could swing big and I'd have to burn a lot of cards from hand or just take the life. I would think I would want to counter here. I have a 2k and a 1k. The Nico Robin 6 cost one that's sitting in my hand right now no longer has any value because my opponent is at 3 more life, and it's a 1k counter, so if I just give up a 2k in that card, that would be totally fine with me. But I guess I'm also worried that if I don't use my blocker now, my opponent could choose to use, the attack active character's ability to just attack it directly. Sorry, wrong color here. Which would suck because then my blocker lost its value. So whether to block or whether to counter is the question. And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and block here. I want to just get the value now, and I am choosing to activate Nico Robin's ability. So I'm gonna -1 Dawn and search the top 3 for a Straw Hat. I'll put up the card on screen just so that you can read it, but I've summarized it pretty well. We've got really good options here. We got the Frankie and the Nico Robin. And that's right, I can search out Nico Robin herself, which is really cool because then I can just regain another blocker. And so I'm determining what do I value more right now, a blocker or a 2k. And I think I am valuing the blocker. Because I have the 3-cost Saw in hand, I could combine that with the Nico Robin and just put down 2 blockers the next turn, which means that I'll have, a good amount of defenses. And then my opponent's going to tap 4 Dawn to play out the 4-cost Doll. This is another good card for Koby. I believe it gives -6k. Wow, that's a lot. -6k to an opponent, and it's a blocker. And then, yep, my opponent is just going to go 7k at the Saw. I just have to let that go because that's 7-0. And then finally, they attach 2 Dawn to Koby and go 7k at my lead. And here I give up a 2k and a 1k. Ooh, let's go back to that real quick. I give up a Frankie, which is the right choice here. Between the 2Ks in my hand, I have Frankie and the Usohachi. The Usohachi is better to keep in hand because I am at 8 or more Dawn, which means I can potentially rest blockers that are 5 costs or less. Sorry, I was about to say 4 costs, but it's 5 costs or less. So picking the Frankie was the right choice here. But choosing my blocker, the Robin, was, I think, the wrong choice. I mentioned it earlier, but this 6-cost Robin here has no more value because they no longer are at 3 or more life, which means I can't trash a card. I should have given up this one instead of the 3-cost Robin, since I'm not using it anymore, and I would have kept the blocker in hand. So that was a slight misplay on my end. Oops. There we go. Yep, I give up the Frankie and the 3-cost Robin blocker. I guess was feeling comfortable that I had 1 blocker in hand, but looking at it now, I think I should have definitely kept that card in my hand. Pass back to me, I draw for turn, it's the 5-cost Luffy, and then I go up to 9 Dawn for the turn. I have ways to get around the blocker, the Usohachi, and the... Oh, actually, the 5-cost Luffy wouldn't work because he would just have protection on the doll. So yeah, I make the right choice here. I'm going to go ahead and tap 3 Dawn to play out the Usohachi, resting his blocker. I know I should establish a blocker this turn, so I want to keep 3 Dawn up. And so I choose to attach 2 to my leader and just go a 7k banish at my opponent's life. Unfortunately, this is one of the downsides of playing Nico Robin. It's often the case that you feel tempted to always attack life since you have the banish. I always feel bad using my leader to attack any characters since I'm, losing value on the banish here. You can see that they get to just maintain their board, which sucks for me. They choose to take the hit, letting that go to the trash. I tap 3 Dawn to play the Saw, and then I pass the turn, leaving 1 Dawn up and 4 cards in my hand. My opponent draws for the turn, and then goes up to 10 Dawn. And while he's thinking about his turn, I ended up just leaving 1 Dawn up because I know I am playing the Gum Gum Giant. There is the possibility that it is in my life, and so by just showing the 1 Dawn here, I'm starting to bluff whether or not I have the Gum Gum Giant in hand, forcing him to guess about it, right? Yeah, my opponent got to keep all their characters on board. This is not looking too good for me because he's going to do the same exact thing. 7k to my lead with the Kuzan, giving the Hibari the ability to attack active characters. I don't have any 2ks in hand anymore, so I'm just going to go ahead and take it. Alright, and it's the 5-cost Sanji. He's going to tap 5 Dawn to play another Hibari, giving my Saw minus 2000 power. And then he's going to tap the Hibari that can attack. And he's gonna go 7k at my lead, and I'm choosing to block with my Saw. Just get the value now, since he did minus power on it. Also means I get to save cards in hand because I don't have a 2k to get out of the 7k swing. My opponent then attaches 3 Dawn and goes 8k at my lead. That's a really high number. Not having 2ks right now is hurting me. I just have 4 1ks. I could give up all 4 to counter out of this, but I'd be losing all of the cards in my hand, which I don't want to do, so I end up taking it. And fortunately, it was a Gum Gum Giant. So I know I have some defenses now, but my opponent still has a blocker and a lot of characters on board. They only have 3 cards in hand and 1 life. They pass the turn to me, I draw for turn. It is the 5-cost Rosinante, and I am going to pause right now for a second here. So draw for turn, it's the 5-cost Rosinante, and then I go up to 10 Dawn for the turn. I wanted to pause because you might have noticed these 2 cards I'm running in the deck. I was trying to go for a Doflamingo Rosinante combo that you might have seen in blue-purple Luffy in my purple-yellow Robin deck. The reason for that is because you might have noticed, but purple-yellow Robin is Dawn hungry. She's trying to use Dawn as efficiently as possible. You want to put it behind your leader to go for swings, but you also need to be playing out characters to keep up with the board a little bit, or just drawing cards or putting down blockers. So every Dawn matters, and I'm usually trying to keep up Dawn in order to have something active for the Gum Gum Giant. Unfortunately, that means I am down 1 Dawn, right? So you saw last turn I could have done an 8k swing, but I only did 7 since I needed to keep 1 Dawn active. I wanted to play this combo because the Don Quixote Doflamingo and the Rosinante allows me to use all 10 Dawn while still being able to gain some active Dawn at the end of the turn in order to use it for things like Giant. So I'll go ahead and put up, I'll just read both of them right now. So give me 1 second to find the card here. We'll start with the 8-cost Doflamingo. Don Quixote Doflamingo is a purple 8-cost 9k power special character with no counter and has the 7 Warlords of the Sea typing and Don Quixote Pirates typing. And his ability reads: on play, Dawn -1, play up to 1 Don Quixote Pirates type character card with a cost of 5 or less from your hand. And then on your opponent's attack, once per turn you may rest 1 of your Dawn cards, add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and set it as active. So this card's really nice because it allows me to play out the Rosinante. But then also, if I keep an active Dawn, I know I will be minusing Dawn from, Giant. I can use it to ramp 1 Dawn on my opponent's attack. And now going to the Rosinante. Rosinante is a purple 5-cost 6k power special character with 1k counter and has the Navy and Don Quixote Pirates typing. His ability says on play, you may trash 1 event from your hand, draw 2 cards, end of your turn. If you have 7 or more Dawn cards on your field, set up to 2 of your Dawn cards as active. So really, the Rosinante is the more important card. I can trash 1 card from my hand, 1 event from my hand to draw 2, adding on to my ability to just draw more resources. But most importantly, if I'm at 7 or more Dawn cards, I get to set 2 as active. So I can use all 10 of my Dawn, knowing that 2 Dawns will be set as active at the end of the turn. Really nice for me, but unfortunately, it's a little slow at this stage in the game. I have no life, and they have a really wide board here. So if I decide to play this, I am giving up my ability to play my blockers, like the Sanji here. And by not having blockers, that means all of their attacks are just going to be coming at my life, which is going to be really hard for me to counter out of, since in my hand, I do only have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9k counter. Plus maybe something I get from Giant, right? So unfortunately, cannot play that combo. I'm going to have to think of something else here. We're going to start off by tapping 5 to play the 5-cost Sanji. So this has been a surprisingly good card for this deck. I will also pull this card up and read it. So Sanji is a yellow 5-cost 6k power strike character with 1k counter and has the East Blue / Straw Hat Crew typing. His ability says blocker, and on play, if you have 2 or less life cards, draw 2 cards and trash 1 card from your hand. another draw tool in the deck. As you can see, I have a lot of draw cards. It just means I can search through my deck to find the right answer. In this case, I am trying to find more blockers or counters. So I'm playing it out. I drew 2 cards. It's the Beige and another Saw. I'm really happy to see the Beige because it's a 2k. But now I'm going to have to trash 1 card. I think it's an obvious choice here. It should be one of my bricks. I've got 5 Dawn left. I guess I'm deciding whether I want to trash the... Oh, did I already trash a card? No, I didn't. Yeah, I have to trash a card. I should be picking between the Saw and the Flamingo, and I'm choosing to give up the Saw. I don't think it makes that big of a difference because I know the other brick in my hand is most likely going to be used for the Giant. So, trash the Saw here. And now we're going to try doing some swings. I don't have a 3-cost blocker. It would have been nice to put that down. But, yep. And before you ask, it's like, why don't you try going for game? They have a blocker and 1 life up. I have to get at least 3 attacks in, which I don't have. So I have to kind of stall here and try to survive 1 more turn hopefully. We're going to attach 3 Dawn to the Usohachi and go 6k at the Kuzan. 3 cards in hand for my opponent. And they give up a 2k to get out of it. Alright, they go down 1. Then I'm going to go ahead and just go 6k with my leader, Banish. They choose to block. And I have to pass there. So I have no life and 1 blocker, 1 Dawn up, and I think that's 7 cards in hand. Passing to my opponent, they only have 3 cards in hand. They went up there, sorry, at 10 Dawn. And they have 3 attackers plus their leader. So 4 attacks coming. It's all gonna come down to math here. See how he divides the Dawn. And hopefully I can survive. The Hibaris have been really brutal for me. But he's going to start by attaching 2 Dawn and going 7k with Kuzan. I'm really glad I have that 2k right now, because now I can just do a 2k, 1k. Just making sure I'm reading the Hibari. Because yeah, the important thing is that both of these Hibaris gain plus 1000 power when attacking. So this is actually a 7k attack here, and another 7k attack here. And knowing that my opponent has 8 Dawn left, they can divide that up between 3 characters. So that would be brutal for me. I go ahead and just pitch a 2k and a 1k to get out of this 7k swing. I'm also choosing not to block here because I don't want my opponent just freely attaching all their Dawn on a character and going at me if I don't have my blocker, right? The blocker is there to prevent that. My opponent's going to attach 3 Dawn to their leader, maybe. Nope. I've got 5 Dawn left. They're going to actually attach 2 Dawn to the Hibari, and they're going to go 7k at Sanji. Alright, so yes, Hibari can attack active characters thanks to Kuzan. So my opponent's going 7k with Hibari at my 6k Sanji. Or sorry, 9k. He attached 2 Dawn. And I was like, oh, thank goodness. I'm going to go ahead and actually counter out of this with Giant. I Dawn -2, pitching the Doflamingo and going +4, bringing my Sanji up to 10, which saves it. And because it's still a blocker, I still have this blocker to potentially get out of the swings here. My opponent goes 8k with leader. And they have 3 Dawn left. And I actually missed it. I drew a 1k and a 2k from my deck off of Giants. So thank goodness. So finally, we can see that my opponent with 3 Dawn. Actually, sorry, I didn't mean to remove that there. 8k here. At most, they have a 10k swing left. So I just have to make sure I get out of this. I still have the blocker, which means I can use that for the 10k. The 8k swing is a lot easier to counter out of with the cards in my hand. And here I'm just asking about like what effects are applying where, because they can all give each other attack active. And here I'm choosing to give 4 cards up, 4 1ks to get out of this 8k swing. I'll tell you why in a second. And now my opponent only has 3 Dawn and the Hibari left. At most it can be a 10k swing, but I have a blocker. So, okay, they choose to actually just go 8k at the Uzohachi, which I just let go. I'm like, sure. And I survive. Back to me. I still have a character on board and my leader, which is really nice. I draw a Robin for the turn. I'm going to go up to 10 Dawn again. And here's why I chose to give up the 4 1Ks instead of my 2K here. And it's because the 2K I have is Nico Ovia. So I'm just going to prep it because I know I'm going to want to bring it up here. See, I'm just trying to do some Dawn math here because my opponent has 2 cards left in hand, 1 life. I really have to just go for game here. We tap 1 Dawn to play out the Nico Ovia. This card is amazing for Nico Robin. Ovia is a yellow 1-cost 0k power wisdom character with 2k counter and the Ohara typing, and her ability says on play up to one of your Nico Robin leaders gains plus 3000 power during this turn, and trigger if your leader is Nico Robin, draw 3 cards and trash 2 cards from your hand. So by playing it out, my leader gains plus, ooh, that's not the color I want to be using here, plus 3k power. So that was only 1 Dawn, my leader is now 8k, and I still have 9 Dawn left to work with. Just gonna divide it up between the 2 here. Doing some Dawn math. So with 9 Dawn left, okay. Yeah, we're just gonna go, that was 11k. Banish, which they don't have the counter for. I attach all my Dawn. Go for the final, what is that? 12k swing. And my opponent does not have enough counter and I win. Woo! That was a really close one. I think that was a really good game. It really came down to how my opponent sequenced their attack there. Because they chose to attack my Sanji, it meant I could protect it and keep up another blocker. I feel like if my opponent had just gone a swing at my life instead, that would have been a lot more, you know, a lot more damage done to me. Since I have to counter out of this or I have to give a blocker, they would have had their leader and another Hibari to swing out of. I wouldn't have enough counter to get out of it. So yeah, I think that just ended up working out for me. Besides that, I think this game was pretty good overall. I did miss a few turns where I chose not to ramp with my leader, which is a little unfortunate. And by the time I was at like 8 Dawn, I was like, okay, I don't need to ramp anymore. I'm just gonna naturally get to 10. So I could have just ramped earlier to try to just be at more Dawn and reach some thresholds faster. But yeah, I think it was a good game overall. If you found anything that I could have done differently, or you caught something I missed, please let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, GG's to my opponent, and I will see you guys in the next game. Until next time, remember, keep your minds fresh and your spirits free. See ya!